Greetings once more, dear friends. Fanatical Dragon back once again with a little mix of an unboxing and a hefty dose of rant today, because we're talking Shaw Brothers, which is definitely good, but we're talking Eureka, which is something that I don't often do here. We'll get to that in a little bit. And inside this box, which has just arrived from Vinegar Syndrome, is their first in a new line, which I'm pretty damn excited about, which is going to be their Shaw-sploitation series, Men from the Gutter. And god damn, it's a fat box. So we'll take a little look at that in due course, but we'll get to the Eureka one first. And I've also got Kurosawa's Creepy as well, which we'll get to in this video. So a bunch of things to get through. Let's jump into the Eureka set first. This came out a while ago, just haven't had a chance to either unbox it or speak about it. I don't really cover Eureka stuff on the channel that much. I don't know if I've ever really explained why. I have a strange love-hate relationship with Eureka. As a label, they put out some great stuff. They put out some movies that I absolutely adore, but the label themselves don't always sit that right with me. Always get the sense that they kind of look down their nose a little bit on the Hong Kong and the martial arts side. I get the sense, and this is coming from no actual information, it's just a feeling that they're kind of a bit aggrieved that one of their best selling lines is the martial arts and the Hong Kong stuff. And that allows them to kind of do an awful lot of the other releases, their Masters of Cinema stuff. But I always kind of get a sense that they're very haphazard with how they handle the Hong Kong stuff, and never more so than when it comes to Shaw Brothers. Wildly inconsistent with the way that they kind of package these and put them out. And sometimes with the movies they pick, they clearly lean pretty hard into Chang Cheh, which I'm absolutely here for. Absolutely adore Chang Cheh, but really inconsistent with the releases. They rarely put them out as individual titles. This is a pretty hefty box. I think there's 10 movies on this set, and I have picked up most of them. More of a fan of some of the other cover artists that they've worked with for these. I do like Go Kaiju stuff. He's done the bulk of them, but they're just really weirdly inconsistent. The styles vary a lot. You can pretty much guarantee they're never going to put a Shaw Brothers logo on. I was amazed that they did for the magnificent Chang Cheh set, but otherwise there's very little Shaw Brothers branding on them. This cover from Chris Melbourne was a pretty good one as well for the Daredevil's Ode to Gallantry, but again, just kind of weird that they always kind of feel, I don't know if they feel that they're giving us a better deal by doing double packs. But it's just very strange. It just feels very kind of confused. And so their most recent set is this Furious Swords and Fantastic Warriors, the heroic cinema of Chang Cheh. I've rambled on too much without actually getting inside the box, so let's cut away the plastic. This is a Darren Wheeling cover, and Darren Wheeling I am not the biggest fan of. Art is very subjective, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there who really dig on his stuff. For me, less so, but I do actually, that being said, like that this one is a little bit more of a photographic version as opposed to kind of his sort of straight hand-drawn art. And inside we're getting two boxes with Furious Swords, Fantastic Warriors. I think we're getting 2 discs in each. We are getting a booklet, not reversible cover. We do get the individual kind of posters for the movies, Men from the Monastery, Shaolin Martial Arts, King Eagle, Iron Bodyguard. Iron Bodyguard exceptionally happy is on here, and Tale of the Broken Blade, The Weird Man, Fantastic Magic Baby, The Wandering Swordsman, New Shaolin Boxers, and Trilogy of Swordsmanship, which Chang Cheh just directed a little bit of. And we do get a booklet, but they've put together some pretty decent extras for this. An awful lot of people who I absolutely adore being involved as collaborators. So Frank Zheng and Michael Worth are on here on commentary duties, along with Big Mike and Arna. All of those 4 I've had on the channel at various points. Jonathan Clements, I think, writes some pieces in the booklet. I'm a massive fan of Jonathan Clements. Jonathan, if you're by some chance watching this, reach out, because I'd love to have you on the channel. James Oliver's written Men of Iron on Chang Cheh by James Oliver. Looks like he's taken up most of the booklet. So the Jonathan Clements stuff, I'm guessing, is on disc. Take a little look at that in a second. Yeah. So James Oliver's done the whole booklet. On disc wise, though, we're getting 2 video essays by Jonathan Clements. Wuxia 3 Ways, a new interview with martial arts cinema expert Wayne Wong on Trilogy of Swordsmanship. And I think we've got commentaries by Frank and Michael Worth on The Fantastic Magic Baby by Frank on his own. Audio commentaries on King Eagle, The Wandering Swordsman, Trilogy of Swordsmanship, and The Fantastic Magic Baby by Mike and Arna. And then, yeah, I think Frank and Mike have done Shaolin Martial Arts, Iron Bodyguard, and New Shaolin Boxers, which will be great to listen to. So a really kind of strange mix of movies. But like I say, it's just a kind of a bit strange the way that they kind of do somewhat haphazardly handle the Shaw Brothers stuff when you kind of compare them to the likes of 88 Films, who do obviously kind of pick out different cover artists too, but have a consistency to the way that they do the releases. They're always individual titles, which I'm a bit more of a fan of. The Shaw's logo is always pretty much included on every single cover, and they do very consistent spines, which if you're a bit OCD like I am, means quite a lot. When you stack up the other ones and put them together, it just kind of doesn't really feel much like a series. It just feels like a kind of, I don't know, a random series of releases. Whereas 88 do use disparate artists, but they always have a consistency to them. From the last batch, there's kind of been some really, really nice examples of stuff done. Sean Longmore for To Kill a Mastermind was exceptionally good, and it absolutely overjoyed me that Kung Fu Bob was back for Lady with a Sword. I don't think that's the last that we've seen from Kung Fu Bob doing Shaw Brothers for 88 Films. I absolutely adore Bob's work, and for me, I think if it sounds like I'm ragging on Eureka, it's really just for me. I would love to see Kung Fu Bob doing the cover art for every single Shaw Brothers release. I just think that's a marriage made in heaven. The other thing that pisses me off a little bit about Eureka is they do sometimes reach out to great artists. Never more so than Tony Stella, and they haven't seemed to have used him for a while. Last release that I can remember seeing was their Mabuse Lives box set, which was really, really nice, but that was kind of their Masters of the Cinema line, and they always treat that with a little bit more respect. But Tony had done art for Abashiri Prison, for Samurai Wolf, for Revenge, for Violent Streets, for Goggle 13, the Bullet Train, and for the phenomenal Beach of the Ward Gods. So yeah, just really strange. I think kind of, guys, give Tony Stella a call if you're going to be doing more Shaw Brothers, please, and make me happy. But that's it, I've rambled on too much. Let's jump into the other box and take a little look at the first of Vinegar Syndrome's Shaw-sploitation titles. I'm pretty excited to get into this chunky box. This is Men from the Gutter. The fact that they're doing this makes me extremely excited and very hopeful that we might maybe see Hong Kong Godfather coming out on this range at some point. I can only hope. If anyone has heard anything, let me know, because I don't know which other titles they have coming, but this is numbered Shaw-sploitation 1, which would suggest that they have more coming. It's kind of cool that they've put it into these big fat boxes, but it was very reasonably priced. I think this whole set was like 23 quid, which is a pretty good deal for a deluxe set. And the shipping costs from Vinegar Syndrome always pretty reasonable. They put a Shaw Brothers logo on the spine, which checks my OCD box. And then inside here we're getting same artwork, so a point off for that. You could have kind of done a different image on the inside, but we're getting a poster, I think, which is going to be that same artwork. Double-sided. Two slightly different images. Am I just being slightly blind? Is there a different image? Is this reversible? Okay, I stand corrected, guys. They have given us a different image. Redeemed. So yeah, you get a different choice of image for the inside if you want it. On disc extras wise, we're getting a commentary by the phenomenal Sam Dagan. We are getting From the Gutter to the Theatre, 27-minute brand new making of documentary featuring interviews with writer Tony Hung Hwa, actor Jason Papiao and actor Yun Bon. Jason Papiao, Hong Kong cinema's chameleon tough guy, a video essay by film historian Eureka Schultz, and our double-sided poster that we saw, reversible sleeve artwork, and we get a book, which is in a kind of slightly weird format, but it's nice. Kind of like in this sort of two-tone, kind of grimy style of photography they've gone with. And we're getting Down and Out in West Kowloon by Walter Chow. Big text. Arrow style. Not present here. Arrow always do microscopic text. This is a little bit more 88 style text. But still just nice that we're getting a booklet. I'm a big fan of them, and kind of always take time to go through them. We've also got High and Low on Lam Noi Choi's Men from the Gutter by Errol Esteban Cayer. Obviously this movie, if you don't know, was directed by Lam Noi Choi, who would go on to direct A Story of Ricky, amongst many others. Oh, and we're also getting Unheroic Bloodshed, Shaw Brothers Studio and Modern Crime Films by Keith Allison. This kind of came along at a pretty weird time for Shaw's, and it's kind of one of their more contemporary crime movies. Along with Hong Kong Godfather that I mentioned earlier on, with Police Force and a couple of others were kind of good examples of them stepping away from their wuxia and kung fu roots that they'd done previously into kind of a bit more kind of gritty and contemporary territory. For me, I think inspired a little bit by what was happening with the Yakuza films out of Japan in the 1970s, but really, really excited to kind of get a chance to check out their new restoration, and I think it's a very good indication of what we might be seeing coming from Vinegar Syndrome in the future. So yeah, excited to get into that one. The other thing that was in the box was Creepy, directed by Kurosawa, though obviously not Akira Kurosawa, directed by the other Kurosawa, Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who directed Cure and Cloud recently, along with a bunch of other kind of pretty interesting psychological thrillers. I think Cloud has new movies coming out from Eureka at the beginning of next year. Not a huge fan of this cover art. I'm not too sure who's done it, but I will be probably putting it in a different box. Let's take a look inside this one. This is one of the Vinegar Syndrome partner labels. And inside we're getting kind of photo version. This did actually at one point have a release from Eureka in the UK, but I think it's out of print. And you're getting a little booklet inside here. Which label is this on? This is on Kim Shim, which is one of the new partner labels that I'm not that familiar with. We're getting an audio commentary by film historian Jasper Sharp and Amber T. Proximity, Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Creepy by Christina Alvarez Lopez and Adrian Martin for Movie Notebook. And then our booklet has got new writing by film critic Kristen Yonsun Kim. But a movie that I have not actually seen, a Kurosawa movie that I've not had a chance to check out, so I'm excited to kind of get a chance to check it through. Big fan of what he did with Cure, and I had a chance to see Cloud recently and I thoroughly enjoyed it. He's an intense director. Nice. I will probably rebox this. I have a hobby, for those of you who don't know, of making fake Criterion covers. So when I got my version of Cure from Eureka, I ended up making a fake Criterion box for it. And so I knew Creepy was coming, so I just made my own box for that. And when Cloud eventually arrives, I've got a box for it made up too. But that's it. I've rambled on long enough about cover design to the point where I'm sure you all think I'm absolutely psychologically disturbed and insane. So I shall round this one out for today. Thank you very much for joining me. If you've made it to the end, I absolutely salute you. And my condolences, because you probably also have OCD in a similar way if you've made it to the end of this. But I've been the Fanatical Dragon. I will see you on the next vid. Take care.